Here we go.
Gators first, right?
Yeah, I went first yesterday.
Gator, you ready?
I am ready.
All right, man. Frank Reich, latest coach let go in the NFL this year. There could be a potential lot of openings in college football, though. Is he a candidate for one of those openings, or he's just an NFL guy?
I mean, I'm sure if there would be teams who'd want to hire Frank Reich, but if you're Frank Reich, you're not going to go to the college ranks. You're going to stay in the NFL. I mean, through his tenure in Indianapolis, he went 40-33. He averaged 9 wins a season. And look, I think he's a victim of who the general manager is and who ownership is, and keep giving him crap older quarterbacks to deal. I shouldn't say crap older quarterbacks to deal with, but keep giving him older quarterbacks to try to salvage a season. They're still struggling since Andrew Luck left. It's not his fault. I think he's a really good coach. He should just sit back, relax, and wait for the NFL jobs to come his way. That being said, if he wants to go to the college ranks, he's more than welcome to be Michigan State's offensive coordinator.
This is a pro guy. He's never coached in college. Now, if he does want to make that jump, so you always look at, all right, where did he play? He played in Maryland. Maryland seems to be pretty set. I don't think that they're looking to make a change from Mike Loxley. I do think there's a program out there that is going to be looking. And it's one that sort of has local ties for Frank Reich, and that he coached in Indianapolis. Scott Dolson is the AD at Indiana. You think Tom Allen's clapping days are getting close to being done?
Tom Allen's clapping days as coach of IU?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's getting old.
And
he's got, 2 Big Ten wins in 2 years?
Indiana's such a tough place to create football buzz. I think that would be a power move by Indiana to replace Tom Allen with Frank Reich. What are the ties? I mean, the ties are that they're just, he coached up the road. Indiana's won 1 Big Ten game the last 2 years.
What's worse than I thought?
And their final games are Ohio State, Michigan State, Purdue. The one win they've got is a remarkable one because it came over Illinois. Now, maybe that's going to not age well, but maybe Indiana calls him, but doesn't seem like he's got any roots in college football.
No, I think he's definitely a pro guy, and especially he's had success in the pros. Why go to the college ranks unless he wants to be a head coach right away? Because if he wants to be an NFL guy, he might have to sit back and take a break for a year or take an offensive coordinating position. And I think he should do one of those two options rather than just go to college ranks. All right, staying in Indy, give me a percentage that Jeff Saturday is actually the head coach still of the Colts starting next season.
I've given this a lot of thought and really taken a look at it, and I've come up with 1%. I'm not going to call it impossible, but I give him a 1% chance of being successful.
This is skim milk.
This guy has got to walk in and sit down in a coach's meeting, and every assistant coach there is more qualified to coach the team than him. They all are. They all know this team more. They all know this team better. Some of them have had coaching experience. This is just it feels like organized dysfunction, administrative dysfunction, and perhaps intentional dysfunction. So I don't give him much of a chance at all. I won't say it's impossible, but
1%, less than
1%.
skim. Yeah, it's skim milk.
I'm going to go 50%.
Whoa!
I'm going to go high on this.
Half and half.
Well, frankly, everything is 50%, right? It either happens or it doesn't. But I am going to put it high because I think they brought him in for a reason. I mean, there's a reason they didn't just hire from within or promote from within. So I think it's a strange situation all around, but it's a strange franchise, strange ownership, strange GM dealings. You know, they have to fight back against the criticisms of, are they tanking this year? Where they clearly are, but they say they're not. No effing way are we tanking or whatever they said. But, yeah, I'm going to put it at 50%. What if they actually start winning some games?
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. That's why I'm going to put it at 5%.
All right.
The biggest reason they're not going to bring him back is because they're going to lose games. And maybe it's not all his fault because that team has no quarterback. Their team sucks this year.
Well,
one of the reasons why
the best player on their team isn't healthy.
Frank Reich, one of the reasons why he's not there anymore is because they went in games and because the roster sucks right now. And so I think the same thing's going to happen with Jeff Saturday. Yeah, he's going to talk a good game to start, but You still have to coach football games. You don't just hire. If it was all about what you did at press conferences and what you did at team meetings and speeches, then Tony Robbins and other guys like that should be coaching NFL teams.
Ted Lasso.
That's not how it works.
Jason
Why
Sudeikis, new head coach of the Colts.
But why would they fire him?
Fire who?
Why did they fire Frank Reich in the first place?
Because they have a crazy-ass owner.
Yeah.
All right, we're halfway through the NFL season. Quickly, who is your NFL MVP? Who's your Super Bowl matchup? And who actually wins the Super Bowl?
All right, my MVP is Jalen Hurts of Khang's Philadelphia Eagles. He's on pace for 4,000 yards passing. He's got on pace also for 24 touchdowns, another 600 rushing, and 12 more touchdowns. That's a pretty good season. And they're undefeated right now. Certainly look the part of the best team in the NFC, if not the NFL. So I think that's your MVP. Super Bowl matchup, I'm going to go with the Eagles matching up with the Kansas City Chiefs. I just, Patrick Mahomes, hard to bet against him. Seeing what happened with Buffalo with Josh Allen, that's not going to help their cause at all. I really like the Dolphins story with Tua, but Mahomes is just more experienced and they got a stronger team. So I'm going to go with the matchup of Philadelphia and Kansas City, and I will say Philly wins.
I agree with you, Jalen Hurts MVP. Philly's going to have a hard time winning the Super Bowl when they get bounced by my New York Giants.
Here we go.
Hey, man, you sticking with it? There's nothing wrong with that. They're still in it.
I'm not that bold.
Oh, boo! So you got the
Giants
Eagles?
have been a great story at 6-2. I got the Eagles, and there is a team that I picked at the beginning of the year that I am going to stick with, even though they're taking on water, but I think they're going to get healthy. I'm going to say it's the Eagles and the LA Chargers. And I think they ride Justin Herbert's arm, Austin Eckler, and I think they will get some guys back and make a run in the second half of the season. That was a pick before the season I'm sticking with.
Wow. Well, I'm going to stick with, you guys know I'm going to stick with Jalen Hurts. I called him MVP to start the year. No reason to back up. No reason to back off now.
Yeah.
Eagles to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. No reason to back off that prediction now. I will change my pick from the AFC, though. I had the Chargers, Doug, but I don't like the way they're looking. I like the way the Dolphins are looking. Kansas City, probably a better team, but you can see once they go up against some good defenses, that offense can stall for a little bit. You saw what Tennessee did to them. The Dolphins have a way better offense than Tennessee does. I like the Dolphins versus the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and like I said, I'll stick with the Eagles to win it.
It's interesting that Doug went with Jalen Hurts and not Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, no, shocker, right?
Yeah.
We just had the trade deadline last week, but reportedly several teams would like the NFL to move it back to week 10 or 12. Should the NFL move back the trade deadline? If so, how far?
Move it back as long as they want. If it means more trades are a fascinating part of sports. And the NFL, for years, the trade deadline was a dud. And this year they had the most trades they've ever had. Anything that endorses or that will allow for there to be more trades, I'm all for. So ask the teams, when do you want it? And go for it, because the trade deadline was the best it's been ever this year. So let's continue to manipulate the rules to encourage trades.
I'll give you the date. It's week 12, because at that point all the bye weeks have been used up. All the teams using their bye. So there are bye weeks this week and next week, but not for week 12.
I can get on board with that.
Week 12 should be the trade deadline.
I could be on board with that as well. I start slow, though. I definitely think they should move it back. I'll go with week 10 for right now. Eventually, that could end up to be week 12. Every other sport has it further back during their season than the NFL. This would definitely open up more trades. Before, teams were so afraid because maybe collusion or tanking. But guess what? You've opened up the playoff race now, so there's more playoff spots. So teams will still be in it later in the year. That's why I'd definitely like to see them move it back. It was made official a couple of weeks ago. Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen are getting a divorce. Brady also said earlier this year that he had no plans on retiring anytime soon. Guys, will Tom Brady actually play another year after this season?
I initially would have thought no, and then you watch the game on Sunday and, you give him the ball with 45 seconds left and 60 yards to go, and he's like, yeah, I got this. And they did, and they scored. And the drive before that, they should have scored a touchdown, but it was dropped in the end zone. He still looks great. He's going to back up the bravado, too. He's got no reason not to back up the bravado. He doesn't have the wife that's complaining about him playing. He's got none of the obstacles anymore. Just go and play football, be concentrated on it. He'll return next year unless the Bucs win the Super Bowl. If he wins the Super Bowl, then he'll step away.
I don't think there's any doubt he's playing more. This man, following the divorce, he is married to competition. His spouse is erasing doubt. He gets up in the morning to answer critics. He knows nothing else. Tom Brady will play next year and beyond. On top of that, they're in first place. I know they're only 4-5, but you know that the fire still burns inside this man, and now there's no distractions. Yeah, I think he's coming back.
Doug's description was like a superhero, which is Tom Brady, right?
I was torn on this because, Brady he's so dedicated to and addicted to this life, right? That he was willing to, it looked like, lose his marriage over it. This is what I think happens, guys. I think he plays this year, he retires, and he reconciles with Gisele Bündchen. They remarry. They get back together because he finally gives it up. And this was the biggest thing in their relationship, is him giving up football. I think he gets back together with his wife, and this is the last year.
Wow.
All right, the Seattle Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith is having an unexpectedly incredible year. He's 6-3, 2,200 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, a 73% completion percentage. Have the Seahawks found their quarterback?
Well, he's on a 1-year, $1.7 million contract. They own Denver's pick, which is currently 11th, and their own pick at 23. I think they'd be wise to re-sign him and also draft a quarterback for the post-Geno Smith era. Because let me tell you something. If he hits the open market and the Lions are moving on from Goff and drafting somebody, I want them to sign Geno Smith. Everybody's timeline doesn't have to be the same. And this guy's playing the best football of his career. He'll be 33 next year. Seattle should re-sign him and draft a quarterback. But if they don't, I endorse Detroit doing that plan if they move on from Goff.
Seattle should sign him. He should stay there. He's got weapons around him and skilled players, a couple receivers, the running back, and Rashad Penny gets healthy. He's got a couple good backs in the backfield. He uses those skilled players too, and he uses his feet. He's a smart player. He's bided his time in the league, and he's making the most of it. He's only played 54 games in his career, and he's 32. Like Doug says, he's going to be 33 next year. I think he's one of the great stories in the league this year. He had a ton of talent coming out of college, but he found himself playing for the Jets to start off. So that doesn't do anybody any good. So I think it's smart. I disagree with Doug, though. I would not draft the quarterback with either of those first two first-round picks they have. They need to just keep building what they've done. They did an amazing job this past draft with finding all the starters they have, a couple of tackles, a couple of cornerbacks and defensive end, and they've done a great job. Give them more high picks. Yeah, that's the Pete Carroll way, and Seattle's back on their feet.
Yeah, the short answer is they have found their quarterback short term. Yeah, you don't have to draft a quarterback this year, but you can and still stash him. So you definitely re-sign Geno Smith. He is 32, but he may have found the right combo, like the belief that a coach finally really believes in him and Pete Carroll, the right system, the right players around him, whatever it is. You hold on to this guy. And, hey, if the quarterback falls to you in this year's draft, go ahead, but you don't have to force it. Re-sign Geno Smith if you're Seattle.